as SHARIF.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
My reality, my reality, my reality. My reality includes no illusion. Facts to a Negro's head gives a contusion. Looking from the marvelous light and no confusion. Has you in a fantasy thinking war's a losing. Even though Princess Michael wears Moorish brooches. Now I told you what the problem is. Niggas are roaches. Still thinking like the colonists and like incompetents. If you didn't diss the birthright, the black psychologist wouldn't be getting put through the ringer over a license. If you don't do anything else for your more, it's priceless. So don't get played buying Moorish papers and cards without first studying. Be a man vanguard. Wake up, stop taking credit from your master's cards. They in debt. I bet the lower self you a bet. Higher self you abandon, left notwithstanding. You keep constricting and keep not expanding. Still caught up in debates with the back and forth who's who you know are still liars, not speaking the truth. Pay for dirty Morse classes, won't study with us. That's blood and shark waters, good luck. You warned me scorned for strangling feelings, maiming emotions. Reality check, see demons. Salivating, tasting your aura, lust in your passions. Go in meditations, body does devilish actions. Get back to your body, people watching you funny. Wearing skinny jeans with rips grown crisscross dummy and civil little mortus. They sell you out, claiming professor. Index you on a list for the oppressor. But you are an heir, true successor. Drew Ali has fought Muhammad's predecessor. Turban with the sun, this and out of feather. High treasonous from the gallows hang together. Silent cowards down to their roots. With no courage or strength to stand for the truth. Challenge corruption, volcanic eruption from youth. Awaken memory banks, reconnecting with Ruth. Not terrified of the birthright. Not terrified of the birthright. Not terrified of the birthright. Know thyself, thoughts, scare and hurt, fright.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Fantasy,
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 Que fantasy, I'm living in reality. Yeah. Que fantasy, I'm living in reality. Que fantasy, I'm living in reality.
Quality writing makes your schoolwork better and helps you stand out in the process. Meet Grammarly, the digital writing assistant.
So it's gonna get you in. What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 30s like Jason, without the killing. But we promote light, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his posse, might be talking to cops, giving them caution, occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering, gawking. But he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house. Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can all calcify us. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance with minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what's some purport. As we know by being told, man knows not. Many before the fraud, souls got bought. Placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. Too dogma rituals, Negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. It's still criminal in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see mass like this box? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phone, they speak from soft arms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me breaks, I'm feeding the Henry's serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. And always look to these holes like hallucinatory pits. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prints. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody. Deny you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine for what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack. This deep. Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash real life rap, spitting over tracks, conscious thinking and living and then attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place and spoons on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of Plemo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our birds, we on merge, subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, break, me. Rolling with my name G, double O-N-G. S-O-N is crazy for a minute that you think you can take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark trees. I've been saying you mistaken me. To better move for our market. Power things my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide, carried out in pockets, I knock it. Down bulldozer, they took a lion, it's an exposure. Some big heads ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters back on this porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is the beach still as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Might as deep as the boat. Brain is a lethal weapon, we want it to below. When I speak up a boat. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when they let me broke. Under my Louis 50 to send me poke. Cause then we capture the kick the boy, yeah, and joke. The cost of living, higher profit to private printing. These little girls are sunny body just to pay tuition. These little niggas sunny niggas just for bail condition. It's like the state they never had the prison in the mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
Islam Moors. So there's a campaign going on. And it's with all the other madness going on too. But there's a point when you have to be very wary. You can't just live, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice every day, all day, unless you're by yourself or around Moors. Because I see why people are or have and will not proclaim their nationality as Moors. I can see it now. And it makes sense why certain people just take this and go underground. Because it's a constant thing of the people not getting their stuff together. Right? People not getting their stuff together. Because the truth of the matter is that everybody really knows. And they just want you to keep thinking that this is some kind of game. Everything that this prophet prophesied, manifested. And people saw that. People recognized what that energy was and usurped the energy in order to have what you have, representing the people called who's going to wake our people up in this day and time. All these people took from Noble Drew Ali. All of them. Not that he didn't get from other people too, you know what I mean? You know, he was a man. But something different about him. There's something different about him. And people knowing this, opposed to letting things run their course, they had jealousy. And they really took the position of, in order for there to be no jealousy, how about we just get rid of where the fame and nobility is? And they took that fame and nobility and scattered across the world. Scattered like roaches. Light came on, scattered. But they all had parts of what he founded. And everybody took their piece. Instead of giving honors where they got it from or whatever, no, they're not going to do that. They're going to go start some whole new thing, bring new names. All these people were more Science Temple of America before they were whatever they say that they are now. You find me a picture of somebody else prominent in the, you know, woke community or whatever, and present me a picture of them with even more prominent people than him, according to society. People in society are like, wow, that guy knows Noble Drew Ali? Yeah, in the 1920s. Knows him that he's coming to the convention from Tennessee or whatever. Like, all that was also energy. Because like the master teacher says, we were dealing with sorcerers and sorcery. We're dealing with people who went through adept chamber. Do you know what it means when people go through adept chamber? Have you read the books that Noble Drew Ali presented? Holy Quran, then Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. the Adab chamber, going through the chambers of learning to show yourself approved. The door opens and the guy comes out with the light trying to tell you some BS about what Noble Drew Ali brought and what he presented and whatever like that. And then you're riding with, you're going with him through the door that you know there's no door there. In those instances, priests open up and then they just take the body, put it in the cremation thing, and then that's that, because you just lost your soul. Like, this is not some conspiracy theory, whatever. This is what is happening right now. Everything this man said is happening right now. Everything is manifesting. And again, they have to attempt to stop that. So don't worry about, you know what I mean, the stuff that these people are talking about is going on, and then that has an effect on you. Just listen to Noble Drew Ali, because they already told these Moors, stack your food and stuff like that. And then in the 20s. He said things that are manifesting right now that people have no idea of, because they looked at Moor Science Temple as some religious whatever, because they listened to some dirty Moor who's part of the people who killed Noble Drew Ali to have the fame and nobility. Why we have to be here clearing stuff up right now, because certain people aren't going to put out certain information, because if the people are awake, then that means, yay, they're needing to be corralled again. Throw out something to get these people's attention off of their nationality and birthrights, because there's nothing else that we could do, really. You can't kill them. You can't get rid of the black people and all that stuff. They're here. So what are these people going to do? Or just bring in other people. Well, if you bring in other people, those people cost money too to exist in the corporate realm. And then everybody's piling on to these people who want to claim to be whatever it is that they're not. And all these people know about what Noble Drew Ali brought. Were either part of what Noble Drew Ali brought and jumped ship after they assassinated him. And then now they're coming around to you now trying to tell you what Moorish Science Temple of America is. Because they know the people are dumb. They weren't taught about Noble Drew Ali, so they could say whatever. And anybody's going to go with it, because by the looks from over here, that guy's a Moor. Well, you can't just look at it like that only. Because that's how you get caught up in not knowing the truth about your nationality and birthrights. And you get caught up into this is some religious whatever. With these individuals that espouse a certain teaching, and that is but you have to be part of this club, and this is how we do things here and all that. We'll go to bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government by Rosmariah V. BEY. There were many other organizations and known leaders that came out of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science teachings, namely the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated in 26 with C. Kurtman Bey as the Grand Governor and Supreme Advisor, and acquired a religious affidavit in 1928, the Temple of Allah, later the Nation of Islam, with Elijah Poole Muhammad at the helm, who was without contradiction a student of the Moorish Temple of Science, the Moorish Society of Allah, the Black Dragon Group out of Detroit, the Spiritual Israel Church, the Muslim Culture of Islam, Ali Temple of Islam, Ethiopian Peace Movement, Islamic Unity Society, Academy of Islam, Moorish American Religious League of the United States, Buddhist Temple, headed by Sufi Abdul Hamid, Father Divine, and Daddy Grace. Note, Deuce Muhammad Ali operated MSTA during Garvey's time. Others were Briggs Bey, who wanted contribution to go to Japan. D.C. Furlow operated Brooklyn Temple, Richard Scott Bey, J.S. Fulton Street. So this was all over the place. This wasn't just limited to some jurisdiction of Chicago only. What do you mean Moors are taking contributions to go to Japan? What are you talking about? Why would that even be something that they're doing? Unless everything was already laid out and they're just doing their missionary work as Moors. Because everything that you do is for the nation. It's never for self. But nah, people want to do for self. People want to do for self. People want to play games with IRS or whatever. And then they're going to bring out their article talking about sovereign citizen, whatever. Oh, they're doing some sovereign citizen, whatever, and we detest the sovereign citizen, whatever, because, you know, they're identity thieves and illicit tax preparers and all this type of stuff. Always, they're going to have the agents. Always, they're going to have the agents. That their duty is to get the people to look at the Moorish movement as some type of joining, that you have a choice to say, well, I don't want to be part of that. You don't have a choice. You're a Moor. No building the Noble Drew Ali started, no card Noble Drew Ali gave out, no affidavit that Noble Drew Ali filed in Cook County or whatever like that gives you your birthright. Anybody trying to pretend like that gives you your birthright is playing you, because that means it's not birthright. They're playing a club. And like we say, people who become members of our temple and pay their dues and whatever like that, they go through an introductory stage of 6 months to a year that you're not seeing your nationality card. Here you can take some papers and all that stuff, sure. You know what I mean? Do like what we used to do, exercise on some papers. Before we had cards. Or go sit down somewhere and go study. Because you shouldn't be doing anything in the first place. That's why we say 6 months to a year. Then after a year, then it's not on us. Because we're dealing with nationhood. We're not dealing with this is a club. Oh yeah.
Right.
You could call Whatever happens, you can call and we'll answer. You can call and if we're available, yeah, we'll go to where it is that you're at, where you're having your issue. Because this is nationhood. It's not because of the club. Because that's my brother in adversity. So why wouldn't I go assist? Me just being there might be assistance. I might not have to say anything. So they have this thing that they're doing. You can go to actually you can put this up. Islam more. You have anything to add on before?
Islam. I'm echoing Grand Sheik. Oh, okay, I'm good now. I'm good.
All right.
Now, Islam. I was just hearing the introduction. You was just killing the introduction. I really don't have too much to say right about now. You just giving a good introduction.
Islam. Right.
Look at that.
Father daughter got 3.4 million in tax refunds from IRS. After claiming to win lottery, they never won. This is December. And then when you go down here, right? Just when you thought this story couldn't get any better. In March 2019, Danielle was arrested. They both claimed to be Aboriginal Indigenous Moorish Americans, an offshoot of the sovereign citizen movement who are immune to government authority. The Aboriginal Indigenous Moorish Americans cannot be an offshoot of sovereign citizen movement if the term Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish, and American been around before the term sovereign citizen movement.
I was thinking the same thing.
How is the sovereign citizen movement the father of Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish Americans? Or the mother? How? We're not even going to go with what sovereign is and citizen is and how it's oxymoron and all that. We're not even going there. We're going with you. Like, okay, there's a sovereign citizen movement. Okay, fine. If you say that there's one of those, okay, fine. They can't explain how sovereign citizen movement fathered Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish Americans. Right? And then they go to their SPLC, describes Moorish sovereign citizens as a small sect that believe, hold on a second, up here, you didn't say an offshoot of the Moorish sovereign citizens. You said offshoot of the sovereign citizens. So where'd Moorish sovereign citizens come from now? Or you're just making up stuff on the fly because obviously everything here is color. They can just make up whatever and everything's color. And then everybody's gonna go with the whatever that they make up. We're not even concerned with who they said they were, what they were doing, or whatever like that. All I know is that nobody can tell me that these people don't know who the Moors are. If they're gonna write this whole long article and all that, about some people on some IRS, whatever. But then the amount that they say adds up to 7. I know Moore's rep 7 hard. And then it's against the IRS, who the IRS is not part of the government because it's a foreign corporation. And then it's not in the Constitution. So how are they talking about taxes when they're not in the Constitution? Something's wrong here. But because the people have been taught to just go with what they hear or go with what they see and don't study, then they fall for BS. From the top, status, jurisdiction, adjudication. What's the status? Father and daughter. They're Aboriginal Indigenous. They're not sovereign citizens. They're not Moorish sovereign citizens. They're Aboriginal Indigenous. And we're not saying, you know what I mean? Because if you're going to get 3.4 million and all I'm hearing about is your Benz and your Bentley and your 5-room apartment with the lake view over the mountain of whatever, then you're playing games. Whatever you got, because that's just how the cycle goes, because everything is cyclical. Mess around and see what comes back around to you. Keep playing around. Think that universal law is not looking at your folly. Universal law knows your folly, and you will get your stuff for whatever you did. Don't get mad after. Claim immunity or whatever. So you shouldn't be having no Bentleys and all that stuff. You should be talking about 500 schools went up. If you got 3.4 million, you get a school for $5 or whatever, some of these places.
Yep. Quick question, Green Sheet.
Yeah, more.
Because they said that that Moors are offshoot of the sovereign citizen. Now,
Yeah.
like you said, if we even just go along with their sovereign citizen, how they look at sovereign citizen, so they're saying that group, the sovereign citizen movement, is a group of Europeans. That's what they're saying. The Moors are offshoot off of that European sovereign citizen movement.
Mm.
But all they're doing is the same thing the so-called government is doing, or colonists. They're doing the same thing they're doing, because they're practicing so-called sovereignty here in Morocco.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna blame some of their own people who they say that they're sovereign citizens for doing what they're doing. but then saying Moors are offshoot of that when their whole thing is corrupt. You guys are Europeans.
Exactly. Just like the IRS, just like the whoever else. You can be the most kind-hearted European. You're still a foreigner here.
Still a foreigner.
It's nothing personal, right? You know this is not your jurisdiction. And for the Aboriginal and Indigenous people to boldly just not deal with that issue when dealing with everything. You know what I mean? They're gonna go take some type of acknowledgement from some European on some, yeah, we got recognized by whatever. That's giving them the authority. Authenticate something. That's giving them the authority. Notary. That's giving them the authority. we're Moors in the city of whatever. That's giving them the authority. Because jurisdiction's in the language. If your language messed up, you play yourself. This is why, again, because they know. All these people know. And they're taking a position of not let the people know what's up. And it hurt because we had a conglomerate of Moorish master teachers, right? Like we've sat at the feet of many adept Moors. I mean, and there's a thing of, you know, no matter what, you always see eye to eye with another adept. There's not supposed to be any disagreement because we're on the high road. Like there's not anybody on the high road is on the, so who are these people on the high road that aren't really vibing how we're vibing? This is how I'm looking at it. Because I'm not speaking from a perspective of, you know, hearsay. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it's a mind-blowing thing to be unconscious of this, right? And your first real experience of this is these Moors are respected beyond anything I've ever thought could be respected. But they look like me though. Well, how come I'm not getting treatment like that? How come I'm not getting treatment like Busy Street or whatever? Busy Street. Busy. We're just crossing the street. Everybody stop on the, yeah, it's okay, go ahead. No honking, no anything. Not some every store they go into. Doesn't matter who's behind the desk, they're front of the line, no matter how long the line is. Like, how you guys get this? What is this? Like, what is this? Is it because of the things on your head? Is it because of how you're dressing? Like, damn, how long have you been really doing this or whatever? Okay, well, nobody's at least like 1920, so damn, you've been doing this a long time. Like, how the hell did I never hear about this? We were brought up by Moors who were at it. We consider them master teachers because they did the one-on-one with us. We just have some Moors, and you know, we'll be at our annual whatever, and on the screen is a Moor who is so when we see Moors in the ranks of the master teacher, whatever, going in a different direction than where everybody else is going. You have to start questioning now, you know, is this person really on our side? I mean, you know, the Moors who we know say that this Moor is the Moor. Like, this is the Moor right here. Like, this is the Moor right here. Every Moor that we call up. Yo, we heard about, yo, yeah, that Moor? Yeah, man, that Moor is solid. That Moor's the truth. Oh, that's a great brother. Yeah, connect with him, whatever, whatever. And then just start going in a different direction. I thought we were going in a different direction. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you such a heavy Moor and you're going in a different direction than where everybody else is going? How? And not that you're going in a direction that is of your own, whatever. You're going in the direction of some infiltrators and stuff. And yo, one of the hottest early Taj classes was the who's who and what is what. Just because of that concept. Knowing who's who and knowing what's what. It'll get you out of a lot of BS.
Mm-hmm. So this is this is just an opportunity to really, because I didn't really sit down and take in what was really being said or whatever. But from what I took in, I can't believe people went on the other side like that. And then it's just open. Like, they're just talking about it like, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, go ahead, more. No, I just wanted, before we go all the way in, you had mentioned earlier about Moors wearing their headdress and having their garbs on and getting treated different while they're in, out in public or whatever. Like, just to back you, two quick examples that just happened to me. Went grocery shopping for my aunt. I'm fezzed up, everything. And everybody knows so-called Walmart. I mean, Walmart's always packed. So I'm going in there, get the groceries, and every line is wrapped around the corner. And out of nowhere, everybody know the blue vest. Blue vest comes up to me. This all you got? This all you? And I had a carriage full of stuff. I was like, yeah, come on. Like, whispered it. Come on. I'm following him, brings me to a whole separate register. Cash never turns the lights on, cashes me out, and I'm out the door. Never had to wait. No line. Fezzed up. Just took me. European too. And another one, European too. I'm in the store. In the store, because I have to go to two stores for my aunt. I go to the other store, and a older European, an old lady. So I cashed out or whatever, and she goes, have a good day or whatnot. And then she leans over and says, "You can come back here anytime." I was like, "What?" You can come back here anytime. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Just to back what you were saying. Once I had on the headdress and the garb, totally different. Yeah. Totally different. I don't even have to wait in line because I had the feds on.
Yeah.
I just had to back you because I know we about to go in on people who, because I know that more. And I know the video you're talking about and everything. And that was a very, very popular video about, well, 5-6 years ago, the video was still popular, even though it's older than that. Everybody knew about that video. And for that Moor to just switch sides like that, it's almost we know somebody took some notes. Somebody took some fiat.
Something's going on. Something's going on that it's just it's the turnover of all these ancestors in their grave because of how crazy the sellout is and how much our own is really what the problem is. You worry about no virus is the problem. Man who's trying to take your wife after the virus kills you, that guy's the problem. I bet he looks just like you too. There's some very underhanding stuff going on that's been going on. And everybody doesn't want to address the elephant in the room. How come these people don't talk about nationality when they know what's up? And how come when they get an opportunity to talk about nationality, they keep talking about corporate policies and stuff like that? And they're Moors, and they have fezzes on. And again, we're not no debating about stuff and all that. We put in some time, and we were brought up a certain way in this information. And when people are off the path with where it is we know this thing is supposed to be and where it's been, especially just 20 years ago or whatever, and where it is now, there's people out here playing games. There's people around here playing games. Right. This is Exhuming of a Nation. By the early 1940s, Brother Elijah Poole Bey, now guided by his Islamic attribute of Elijah Muhammad, had publicly denounced all association and connections with the MSTA. Internally, he had also outlawed the wearing of fezzes and turbans by his members in the Nation of Islam. According to his own admission, Muhammad did not want his members confused with the members of the MSTA. There have been numerous dirty Moors who have committed wrongdoings and deceptions by diverting the truth from their rays of Noble Drew Ali's teachings. They have formed simulated MSTAs, joined lodges, and even founded churches. While it may also be true these weaker members derive from internal inconsistencies, they ultimately cause the Prophet to suffer due to public misunderstandings. These simply were not true Moors. The will of a true Moor would never allow him to disobey the laws and teachings of the noble comforter. Fleecing the sheep of their black wool of ignorance is not the forte of a conscious and free national being, for they know that it is not the true and divine way. In this light and in defense of Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and any other successors of the Nation of Islam being accused of being disciples of Noble Drew Ali, there is just no fruitful or harmonious resolution to support this 70-year-old theory. Plus, There are a host of other lofty reasons to shoulder the illustrious NOI's denial of association with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches a message to a black man. Drew Ali taught his people their nationality and their own divine creed, and that they were not Negroes, colored folks, or black people. Those who are bestowed with the truth are also ordained to set their people free with that truth. When a true prophet comes from among a people, he would not sustain them in the same black state of mind where he found them, because Allah is love. And if you love your brother and sister, you wouldn't dare call them these fictions, because you know what it's doing when they attach that to human beings. Because again, these people are in the upper ups, and they know better. And to just be openly taking this position like they don't know what's up. What you mean? Pictures of Elijah Muhammad holding the flag. They wore fezzes and banned them. That should let you know something about how they feel about they want no connection to the MSTA. What do you mean? That's your foundation. So this whole, unity call and then everybody just come as you are and all that, that's some BS. Like, that's not the unity. Let's have a nationality. Let's make that. And again, we're not even saying say Moorish. You pick the nationality. It just has to be one that has a flag that's recognized. You pick it. Be that, so we can start doing what we're supposed to do as free national beings. We're not playing this thing of you get to be whoever you are, when we know as Moors that that's a dead status. And anything that we unite with has to be of a free status. Because if it's a dead status, everything we do is gonna die. Why wouldn't everything we do die if we're doing it in a dead status? What do you mean you're gonna have something fruitful? How? There's no life. That's why having a nationality is being in full life, not dead. But for these Moors to play this, I don't know if they're trying to get them the connections so they can get some federal stuff too or whatever. But the way that they're going about trying to pretend like, these two organizations are coming together, no. How about, like we said, those people just put the sign back up?
Right.
Just put the sign back up. That's all you have to do. Go back. Reinitiate wearing the fezzes and the turbans and all that stuff. Use people nationality cards, and now we're talking. But if you're just playing nationality card in the background, you know what I mean, and then not letting the people know, then no, it can't be like that. It can't be like that. Because again, we're not even concerned with certain people.
Right.
Because we know they're nobody. This came yesterday. You're nobody. And what we're talking about is the whole concept of just yielding. Just like Castile and Aragon got Granada yielded to them. Because the Moor just gave up the key. The Moor just gave up the key. Right? Peace, Moor. Yo, I'm just in class right now. You can link me back. All right. Like, yeah. All right. Peace. Islam. Right? Just like it was yielded to them. Just giving up. There's no last battle and stuff like that to the death or anything like that. Just yielded up. And then they go around spreading their propaganda about they conquered somewhere. You didn't conquer anywhere. Stuff got given up to you. There's no conquering of the Moors like that. A Moor just gave up. A Moor just gave up.
His mom spit on him.
Spit on him for giving up. Right? There's a game to try to get you to think this is just merely some religious whatever. And in some way, shape, or form, this is connected to some sovereign whatever. When that's not the case. People are playing games. And it's not right, certain things that people are using to get more to think that them standing up for their rights is like some evil thing or something. That's why we're saying that it's some witchcraft things that they're doing. Because if they're trying to push the perspective of fear, if they're using fear to get you to not get down with your nationality and birthrights, they're not no different than the coronavirus people.
What's the difference?
They're the same. Trying to rule you through fear, opposed to giving you knowledge so you have no fear. Right, so we had to skip through a bunch of stuff, but we'll start from here and see where we end up.
Real quick, Grand Sheik.
Yeah, more.
Now I see is the guy Ben X is up there too. So he's doing the interview. He's going to be asking the questions. But I'm starting to look at this guy because he looks like my son. You know what I mean? Like I don't take this guy serious. He's a child. He's some 18, 19-year-old little boy. I don't take that serious. I don't take that serious at all. Anything he's doing, I'm not taking it serious. He's a child. He's a child. My son is only going to do what I tell him to do because he's a child. I'm his daddy. Like, this a little boy. This ain't serious to me. You're going to have to go find me a head leader in the organization of the NOI to do the interview with a Moor, to me even look at it like it's legitimate. This a little boy. That's not a grown man. That's a little boy talking. Anything he asking, I'm looking at it like my son's asking me a question. And I gotta, okay, how am I gonna explain this to my son because I know he's a little boy? Like, I'm not looking at him like a man that he would know what I know because you're a little boy. That's how I look at him. He's not someone legitimate to be doing anything. You're a little boy. Where's your leaders at? Where's your leader at? There's plenty of guys in the NOI who's above this guy, this little boy. Where's those grown men at? That's in the NOI. Why aren't they interviewing Moors? That's why I always, before he even started talking, I already looked at it like, this ain't real. This can't be real. He's a little boy. He does his stuff for social media. He's a social media sensation. He's not really for the people and out here. And no, he's social media sensation. He's about subscribers and getting the likes. It's a little boy. It's like little boy be having Minecraft videos on YouTube. It's the same thing to me. They have their little video game YouTube channels. That's what this is. This isn't legitimate. This isn't something that we should be looking at like, okay, this little boy is going to do great interviews to help save our people. No, he a little boy. He a little boy. How we put, that's why because I remember I told you earlier, my mom watches him. And I even asked my mom, like, Mom, why you watching him? He a little boy. I know, but he all over social media, and that's when it clicked. I said, so he is social media sensation. You just social media. Don't nobody really, you're not out here. You on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's what he's doing. That's why it's not legitimate. It's not, before he even starts talking, I don't want nobody to even get all crazy. Like, whatever the grown man with the fez on comes out of his mouth, we should be questioning. But this little boy, we should know that the questions he's going to be asking is going to be colored because he's a little boy. He's playing, and little boys play games. And that's what he's about to do. So we shouldn't even be looking at this like, shouldn't even call him a son. He a little boy. He don't know no better. He a little boy. He's just doing what he's told to do. They're using him. So he can try to, 10 years down the line when he's a little bit of age, he can become in rank in the NOI. Now you somebody in the NOI because of the years before. That's all this is. This isn't real. It's real to the fact of the misinformation that's about to come out of the Moor's mouth, but the little boy, he's not legitimate. He has an agenda, and it's to move up in the rankings of NOI. But then if the more, his whole thing is to be in the NOI, but us Moors, when we come around showing the truth, his titles in becoming up and ranking the NOI don't mean anything because Moors are around and we're shutting that down. Like the Grand Sheikh said, just put the sign back up and Ben X is nobody. Once the sign goes back up, Ben X is nobody. And that's what he's fighting for. He's fighting not for the sign to go back up because he wants in on that in 5 to 10 years from now. He's not in it for his people. He want his ranking. I yield the floor, Grand Sheikh. Islam.
Misrepresented, and I think Brother Tahaka brought that up the other day. We've heard about these different things on social media, YouTube, Instagram. All you gotta do is claim your nationality. You claim your nationality, you ain't gotta worry about no driver's license, insurance. You ain't gotta worry about paying mortgage. I mean, I'm not lying. I've heard all of these things. You ain't gotta pay mortgage. You ain't got. I mean, it's like, man, you get free. You gotta go in and once you claim your nationality, you got man, we got a whole bunch of land that's just gonna be given to you. Please tell us the truth about this situation.
One of my uncles.
What's the root of it?
One of my uncles. Let's talk again. Let's talk about this whole the power of thought, right? One of my uncles said, used to say to me, right? He was in the streets and he used to say, the success of the Khan is dependent on the greed of the mark. Let me repeat that. The success of the Khan is dependent on the greed of the mark. In other words, if you think $1 is your solution, all I got to do to get in your pocket is offer you the $1. All I got to do to take advantage of you is offer you the $1. You think our salvation is that easy?
Right.
You think Prophet Noble Drew Ali sacrificed all he did for all those years so you could ride around in a vehicle without a license? Like, are you serious? Like you could beat a couple traffic tickets, beat some weed and gun charges. You think that's liberation? But this is what they reduce it to. You see, a lot of these individuals reduce it to, and because they already have that mindset, the sharks are already waiting. Hence, come see me for your nationality, get your paperwork done, $250. You see what I'm saying? First, let's start with the definition of nationality. Nationality, according to Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th edition. Nationality is the quality or character that arises out of the fact that a person belongs to a nation or a state. One of the things that we say about the Nation of Islam, you can tell them brothers, right? They got that FOI glow to them. You know what I'm saying? Whether they in street clothes, whatever, you could see them a mile away. Be like, yep. Or if you hear the language, you're like, yep. Just like in the streets with gang culture, same thing. If I got a red rag hanging out of my pocket, you know what time it is.
Right.
Right? Or vice versa. I'm displaying a quality or character. You get it?
Mm-hmm. That's a dead character.
At the county clerk's office. Right? Nothing. If I put it like this, bro. I go down to the county clerk's office and I file an affidavit that says I'm Chinese. Does that make me Chinese? Nope. Let these other brothers tell it. Maybe I'm wrong, right? So nationality is a quality or character. It doesn't make us better than. It doesn't give us no privilege. It doesn't automatically make you, you're an heir to the land because you have a Bay on the end of your name. That's childish.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard that so many times. Like whenever somebody gets shot down, it's because they black. Somebody got pulled over and the police brutality. That's because you still calling yourself black. And I heard this, and this is how I got at my introduction into the Moors. I didn't know nothing about them until I started hearing people say, I'm like, who is it? People saying every problem that we have is because we call ourselves black. And I think that's what Sister Corin Gaines was trying to do when she got in. I think she got killed with her son or something. Is that what she was following?
Yeah, may Allah be pleased with that sister. Good, she was misled by horrible information. And the sad part about it, I'm just going to say it. The sad part about it was that the individuals or the groups or etc. that supply this information are like what we call blocks of wood. They're just going to point the way. They're not going to go themselves. She went. See what I'm saying? And what people witnessed was the final outcome of going that way. And what these other individuals did after the fact was said, R.I.P. Corin Gaines, and what she did wrong and what she should have done right and all that other stuff.
Wow.
See, that's crazy.
There's a lot more. Oh yeah, there you are. Islam.
Yeah,
we'll start right there. You have any comments on that?
No, I just got the last part, but I'm pretty sure it was good enough because I heard the Moabite's name title when they mentioned Corin Gaines. Now, see, now I was telling you earlier, like I don't like me. It's me personally. I don't like bringing her up because that she was murdered. You know what I mean? Like that's that's serious. You know, she was murdered. Her son's still around. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very sensitive subject. So I don't like to bring it up because it's somebody's murder. But they keep throwing her around. Like, it's no issue for them to just mention her. But another reason why I don't like, because they say it themselves right out their mouth. It's Korean Gaines. And I'm like, okay, we know that that's not a Moorish title. Like, why do y'all keep trying to tie her in to the Moors? I mean, she's a Moor, but by her title, that's not Moorish. So I don't get why they keep trying to tie her in to what the Moors are teaching. Because even the document we read earlier, it's an offshoot, so-called offshoot of the sovereign citizen. So there is a movement out there who are not Moors who teach this sovereign citizen stuff. How come they don't blame them for her learning from them? How we know she ain't pop on one of these Europeans with their sovereign citizen movement stuff and she watched that and try to tie that with her? How we know that didn't happen? Because there's plenty of those videos out of these Europeans saying the same thing Moors is saying, but there's some free man on the land thing or something like that. I've seen the videos. How come they're not tying her in with them? Why are they automatically tying her in with the active Moors? Like, what? She didn't ever mention anything about a Moor, ever. Ever. She never said she was a Moor, nothing. None of that. None of that. None of that. There's none of that. They didn't say anything in the paperwork. She tried to claim because that's the first thing they do, is try to bash a Moor and say, oh, they claim that they were a Moorish sovereign citizen. They didn't do any of that to her.
Yeah.
So why are these people doing that? Why are they doing that? They're doing it. The enemy didn't even do it. And they love doing that to us. They love that. They love it. They love it. You go on Google right now, you type in Moorish and click news, they got hundreds of articles dissing Moors. They didn't say that about Korean Gaines. Only people who saying that about Korean Gaines is dirty Moors. They never tied her in with the Moors. Never. Never. It's just these people are. The first person I heard do that was Taharka. I didn't hear anybody else start that. Taharka started that.
Remember, all of them are crew, so you know.
Yep.
I mean?
Like he said, when you first clicked it, what did he say? Our brother Taharka. Oh, that's your brother, huh? Yeah. Everybody knows Taharka's a dirty Moor. But that's our brother now. Taharka's our brother. So we know who you rolling with. We already know what you about.
Right. And again, the point being that this is not about Moorish Science Temple Club. Moorish Science Temple of America, yes, it's a religious corporation. But this is most definitely not about just being on some religious.
Absolutely.
Like, that's not what this is about.
Even though Noble Drew Ali is the man. He's the man. But Moorish predate 1913. Even though Noble Drew Ali, that's the prophet. He's the man. But Moorish, we predate 1913. We predate that. They tell you that and everything. But then they still try to use these slick games and say Moors is a religious corporation. You guys know that Moors predate 1913. I don't even know why that's like a weak statement. Stop saying that. What like that means nothing.
Or just like you're saying too, in the articles, when you pull up all them articles, they always interview the same Moors.
Same Moors.
All the articles that you go in there, if they quote a Moor, it's always the same Moors. 3, 4 different articles. Same Moors they're quoting. And then they're saying the thing, Moorish Science Temple of America, church and all this. And you really don't think they played you and they're gone with it?
Yep, right.
Bag.
Yep.
Right. Again, this is about perspective. There are Moors who we'll say, are active. Right. Activity falls into many different jurisdictions, so I'm not going to say what they're active doing. I'm just going to say they're active. They study and they apply what they learn, so that's being an active Moor, whatever they learn. Right. Well, let's just play this.
That's crazy, you know. And so that's an example. What happened with Corin Gaines is an example of what that sovereign citizen nonsense leads to. You see, what it leads to. You know, and so yeah, that stuff is horrible. Corin Gaines was following that whole, oh well, you know, when you're in your vehicle, you're not a driver, and because you're not employed on the public highways, or, you know, for commercial purposes, and you know, when the officer comes, you got to demand. He shows you his delegation of authority order, blah blah blah. If you know anything about law enforcement,
no, I know
law enforcement. Calls them law enforcement too.
I know for a fact the amount of times I've dealt with a highwayman, I never asked them for no delegation of authority order. That's not something that we're asking for from this guy who's just got applied for a job. Why would he have one? We request that from a magistrate. Because we already know that they got blanket bonds. So why would they have a delegation of authority order? And again, this is going back to the thing of you don't get to whatever for a year. You go study for a year. Show yourself approved. Don't read something today and tomorrow apply it. That's not being an active Moor. That's being naive. And you injure yourself being naive. Because we know that the people who we're dealing with that call themselves law enforcement, we know as Moors who are active that we're not being rash with them. We're not talking rude with them. Nobody already taught us about intelligent tone and all that stuff. So again, the only response comes from when you're standing on what you know, and these people are practicing color of law, which means they're violating, which means you weren't wrong for standing up for your right, because they're the ones that are violating, not you. So why would they make it seem like what Corin Gaines was doing was something Moorish? And there's these Moors who do those same type of things, and they use that same type of language, so they're connected to this sovereign citizen, whatever. What are you talking about? I'm telling you, the Grand Sheik that I know personally, could call him on the phone. He vouched for people like this. He vouched for him. He vouched for him. And I see that Grand Sheik, me and that Grand Sheik see eye to eye. And I have no issues with him. Now, when this individual is telling me, yeah, I see you eye to eye, and honors to you in the Moors in Canaanland. That's your answer. That's your answer when I ask you what's up with this guy? That's your answer. But you used to vouch for him. Don't worry. I see you eye to eye. How's that your answer? Like, what do you mean that's your answer?
Yep.
I mean, nothing else to be said. Because these people were there when Moors had this lockdown. These people were there. They were part of it. And then all of a sudden you're going in a different direction. And then you're going in the direction of the people who brought some fake jurisdiction of Moorish Science Temple and fake titles and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's who you're riding with now? After all the stuff that you went through, just play this, let them talk.
You know anything about law enforcement?
Oh, you had anything before we go on?
It's just the fact that how he just downplays, you know, the asking the highwaymen certain questions, and when he just blah blah blah, and then calls them what is it, law officials, law authority, whatever, like law enforcement, giving the colonists the authority. As soon as he called them law enforcement, it's back to giving them the authority. And he knows this. He knows this better than me. I learned from this guy. I learned from this guy. So I know he knows this. That's why when the Grand Sheik is saying the guy that turned coat, when he just turned and went the other way, it was like a big turnaround. It's shocking. Like, wow. How could you just turn like that? Like, amazing. Like, you weren't saying this a couple of years back. Weren't talking nowhere near like this. Nowhere near the way he's talking now. And he was much skinnier. So somebody took the check, man. Somebody took the check. Somebody took the check. And the other thing too, let's not forget, the NOI receives millions in federal fundings. Since 1979, they've been receiving funds from the same people who they call the enemy. This guy who's doing the interview, he's part of that organization. And people saying this whole interview is to try to make it seem like, oh, the NOI and the Moorish should unify and all of that. No. It's what they told you this when you was little. 2 wrongs don't make it right. Those is 2 wrongs. Those are 2 wrongs right there. Those are 2 wrongs. And neither one of them is a European. Neither one of these guys are Europeans.
That's the worst part. The worst part that it's always our own. Like I said, man, right? Moors who I sat at their feet when you know what I mean, when we were just collecting teachers, you know, his name came up. So it's good. Solid.
Yep.
That was right where we're at. This is like 2008, 2009. Like solid. Moore's right where we're at. He's where we're at. The direction where we're going in, yes, that'll be a more for you Moors to connect with. Right? Solid. And then now, talking about licenses and just like that. It's weird.
Enforcement. They're not trained to know the law. They're trained to take control of the situation and to enforce police policy. Right? That's it. That's it. You know, there's a whole lot I could say about that, brother. What I could do at the, at a future time is I could send you links to lectures that I've done addressing these things very, very meticulously. Very meticulous. You know, I'll give an example really quick. This whole driver thing. People look at Black's Law Dictionary, right? And they read the definition of a driver out of Black's Law Dictionary. It says one who is employed using the public highways for employment for commercial gain, like a taxi driver,
right,
or like a truck transport driver. So people say, well, hey, if I'm going from point A to point B in my private conveyance, well, you know, how can I be a driver? Well, there's something called context. And sadly, that's a problem with many of our people, period. It's proper context. You know what I'm saying? So we won. I'll just say this. I came out of that school, brother, 26, 27 years ago. I came into the Moorish movement thinking that sovereign citizen stuff was the thing. But 26 or 20, and we were doing a lot of the stories that you're hearing today. I myself and a number of my colleagues from back in those days created those stories with stuff that we actually did.
Okay, so if you actually did these things and they worked, obviously they worked because you were with the Moors, who we know are our adepts that were exercising this, and they were dealing with it from the perspective of we're nationals. We're talking about some perspective of members of something.
Right.
Even still today, they still deal with nationals. They don't talk about US citizens and USA citizens and all that. Good morning.
This man he's good, man. He's real good because he said he know the definition by heart. He just of driver. He said the definition and said, I guess he's saying that Moors are taking that definition and reading it out of context. When it's clear as day, I'm like, you just said it. It's clear as day. How are we reading that out of context? But my thing is how he just skipped around it. He's gonna skip around because he's not gonna go in how Moors are reading that out of context. Because you can't. You can't. Like how are we reading that out of context? And if it was out of context, like he said, why he did it. So it wasn't out of context. Because when he read it, it was what it was. But
right.
now all of a sudden,
it's out of
27 years later, 20 plus something years later, now Morris is reading that out of context. Wait a minute, bro. How? What about the first 10 years? Was it out of context? The first 15 years, was it out of context? When did you realize it was out of context?
Yeah. What point?
Because that's when you took the check.
Took something.
It was clear as day. I can't believe he just said that. Like, how do you do that? How do you just know the definition, but Moorish is, what is it? The definition is esoteric? Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, that's incredible to me that he can, but he's jumping around because he's not gonna, he just says stuff and doesn't give a clear breakdown. He's gonna tell you, oh, I can give you certain, lectures I gave where you can go look and no, go on it now because you sound like some BS right now. You sound like you're siding with the colonizer. Like more should just, just be slaves and put your fez on. What? Like that's all I'm hearing is these guys want to be slaves still and put their fez on. Like, no, that's not how any of this works at all. At all. Because when we check the history and we start seeing what they write in their stories when so-called Negroes would wear Arabic clothing in history, there was no problems. They was getting away with certain things. They can do certain things because they were wearing their so-called Arabic clothing. But this guy's telling you now, with his fez on, none of that matters. Just be Negro, and none of that stuff matters. When we can read in history, where basically these Moors who were dressed in so-called Arabic attire was free. They was able to do certain things because of the way they was dressing. But now this guy is telling you none of that matters. With the fez on, he's telling you that they, law officials, and all of that. I just couldn't believe this guy right now, man. The way he's talking.
Talking crazy. Like crazy.
I have paperwork I could show you. I've got actual letters from sheriff's departments, from judges, etc. that I can show you. But we thought we were winning. We thought we were right. We were not right. We just knew more than the judges and the police at that time.
What? You weren't right. You just knew more than the judges and the police knew. So
Yo, get him off the. Come on, man. Come on, man. What was that? That's the same expression as sovereign citizen. That was just an oxymoron. Everything you just said, that was wrong. That was colored. That statement he said was colored.
Right. This is what I said at the beginning, that these are the reasons why people don't want to be part of the Moorish movement. These are the reasons why people don't want to declare their nationality. Not because of the colonizer, because of your own. And Noble Drew Ali prophesied it. Your own is going to keep you a slave.
He's dissing Moors and telling them they're right at the same time. How he did that?
The master.
He's dissing Moors and still saying we're right at the same time. Like, I don't even know how he did that.
Now, every judge, every attorney, and law enforcement has training on the sovereign citizen ideology.
Now they keep trying to tie Moorish activity, which is not just doing this from the oral perspective, but doing this from the operative perspective. That you know that you're a Moor, you know you have a nationality, so you go and be yourself. Whatever that is, based on your studying, you go and be yourself. You're following the principles, you're not violating any law, supreme law. You should have no issues. People are telling you 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sitting at a light and you're waiting to cross and the light's not changing, but don't walk because you're going to get a jaywalking ticket. It's 2 in the morning. No cars are coming. And the light's not changing. And then you're a true Moor, so you're going to stand there till 5 in the morning when the light changes. And then cross because you're a true Moor.
Mm.
You're a righteous Moor. Because you waited 3 hours for the light to change so you don't jaywalk. Because the state says that you jaywalk, that's against the law. Now let's just say you're in a conveyance. Even if you're in a conveyance and you're stuck at the light 2 in the morning, you're not going to be a dumbass and run the light. You're going to go around, do a U-turn on the other street or something. Hang a right, U-turn, hang a right, and keep moving. That's violating the law. If that's violating the law, then we might as well all just turn in our turbans and feathers and go back to where Noah Jawali found us.
Yep.
If a guy with a fez is going to tell you that we're sovereign citizens because we say, I don't want to pay your taxes that you're charging me on this item I'm buying from you. That's against something. We're playing.
The point where they know it's better than the people that they're arresting.
Wow. So now that we know what not to do, can you give us the steps on what to do now? Okay, I got pulled over, because I've seen pictures where people say, man, I'm not saying nothing. They got their sticker and they just put up there. They don't respond to the police. So when you get pulled over, what is the proper steps that needs to be taken on how to handle that situation?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, let's, common sense. Let's use common sense, right? Number one is compliance, right? Number one is compliance.
Fez trying to fly off his head. That's why he gotta hold it down.
The law Fez was trying to get out of there.
Yeah, he was like, yo, you know what? I'm going, man. Fez tried to leave him. He had to press it back down. Fez was like, you know what? Let me ease up out of here. Let me ease up out of here. This is a black guy talking. Let me get out of here. This isn't a Moor. He's talking crazy.
Right? No. Okay. The problem with this is because, Ben X is adding a leading question. relative
Absolutely.
relative to the conversation that was happening before. So the whole idea of, well, be compliant is counter to what they were talking about before, which is, you know, not being active, because you're gonna get shot. You're gonna get what Korean Gaines got if you do what these Moors tell you to do. What?
Mm.
Because remember, he said that he did this already. He
Yep.
never got shot. None
Yeah.
happened to him.
Why didn't they Korean Games you?
Oh, because they knew more than the judges. So because they knew more than the judges, they just stopped being active Moors? Why would you
He
stop
snuck
being
that
active
in there.
Moors? Say that again, Moore.
I said he snuck that in there. I don't think he meant to say that way, but he said it, and and because it just throws away your whatever he's about to say now, the proper way to do it. What do you mean?
I know, and this is one of those questions, just like the Corin Gaines questions, that he shouldn't even answer.
Right.
Because you know it's part of this guy's little campaign to try to smear the Moors. Make being a Moor look like being something negative, because look what happened to her. And you know, he's asking questions about how should we really, what do you mean how should we really get stopped by police? He shouldn't be giving you any instructions if you don't have a nationality. What do you mean? Well, the first thing you got to do is have a nationality. What are you talking about? What do you do when police pull me over? What are you talking about? If you don't have a nationality, you can't stand up for law. Don't even talk law. Keep law out of your mouth, because you're going to get yourself in trouble with your dead status. Pretending like, oh yeah, well, I was watching Ben X, and the Moor said, huh? You better watch what Moors are saying before you start doing what Moors are saying, because you might be listening to some Moors you shouldn't be listening to. Islam more.
Islam.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, it's like you said. You better be careful to what Moors is saying, because I heard another popular Moor say on his channel, you know, I don't care what Noble Drew Ali said. The flag is not over 10,000 years old. I was like, wow.
Wow.
You really said that, man?
Wow.
Like, wow. Like, that was I'm like, whoa, you're the guy. You know, you were here before a lot of Moors. And for you to be, you were the right-hand man of Taj back in the day. Now you out here saying stuff like that, you know, because they going on their little tours, like they're the real traveling Moor, and they're hitting different places now, calling those places over there in the east over there, like those are the real places now. Like he's in the real Moroccan Empire, talking about the same Moor gonna say something. Prove to me that the Empire of Morocco is over there. I was like, wow, man. Who's this? This is, I can use you. You told me years ago, years ago, that this was it over here. And now people who's been in this 20 plus years is starting to talk different.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to look crazy. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I see that people look a little fuller, a little neater, and get to do a lot more traveling than they used to be able to do.
For real. For real.
That's why I like the Moors who walk and take buses. Because I already know he ain't looking for nothing. He ain't looking for nothing. He's good where he's at. He's trying to go study, make his meetings, and work on him or her. You know, that's why I see, you know, that's why I like Moors like that. Once I start seeing, oh, you trying to do a little extra stuff, you like dressing and you want to be on the platform all the time, and you want to be the guy. And you don't just want to just have your nationality and uplift fallen humanity. You want to be the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I'm starting to see a lot of. And it's like they fell for the trap, because we all know that this social media stuff this is a silent weapon. And it seems like they're just falling into the trap of the silent weapon. Because it's causing destruction, because they with their social media now, we already have an ego on ourselves in real life. Now you have a ego on social media. Like what? Like, come on. And that's what's getting, because they want to be the guy on social media in the virtual world. So now it's, oh, I don't care what Noble Drew Ali said. I said, oh, okay.
It's like that.
And now this guy's up here saying, and then the thing is, Europeans is laughing at us. I say that because it was a European who put it on his page. Why are Moors saying the Moorish flag isn't over? And I'm like, who said that? Clicked on it, and I was like, oh, you said it. You said it. Europeans sitting back laughing. Like, you guys, this is your guy, and he's over here saying your flag isn't this. That the Moroccan Empire isn't over here. European putting it on his page. That's what's going on right now. Mind-boggling. That's why I like what you said earlier. You should be in the house studying. I was like, yep, that's what, at the end of the day, that's what everybody should be doing. That's what you should be doing. Because, like you said, a lot of these Moors, be careful who you listening to.
Yep. That's like the theme. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can listen to people. It's good. It's all right. You know what I mean? Listen to everybody. But fact check and take high into consideration that many people didn't have any intentions of you getting out. You know what I mean? They want to keep you in that confused state, in that state of limbo, where you don't know, should I be a Moor? Should I not be a Moor? Once you're there, they got you. Weak mind. And if you are there, get out ASAP. And the only way to get out is to study. Study. Well, I gotta go to study. Yeah, but I got, you know, it's like the girl who, you know what I mean, slipped on the puddle of water in the hallway, and then he's mad. But if you were in class studying, you wouldn't have slipped in the water. You called it on yourself. So the people have to get to the stage where they start studying for real. Know that there are people out here trying to get you to not understand your nationality and birthrights. They either want you to think of it as a club, or want you to think of it as you don't want nothing to do with it because look what's going on in the Moorish, whatever.
The Moors don't even have it together. How the Moors gonna have it together when the Moor is the one who gave up the key that his mom had to spit in his face? How? How's it gonna be together when everybody who was a student of Noble Drew Ali, when he died, they became master of this, prophet of this, sheikh of this, supreme grand whatever of that, having nothing to do with what he started. Absolutely nothing. That we're here today now, just finding out, and people been had this info and didn't give it up, played games with you. And all I'm saying, just use the timeline. See when everybody's founded. You see that you'll clearly see who's talking against the prophet. Because the prophet wasn't a passive Moor. And he wasn't some religious whatever because his name was prophet. It wasn't. Right? Again, going back to this thing about you know what I mean, yielding certain things, because dead status people shouldn't be taught law. Dead status people shouldn't be taught anything relative to law, because you need a status in order to activate the law. The law is not activated because you know it in your brain. Law is activated because you have a status. And people want you to think that the status is membership. If the status is membership, now they control you. If the status is national, you quickly find other nationals.
You ran a stop sign or you did that shit, that, or the other, right? Even if you feel like you can deal with it, you're in the right from a legal perspective and you could defend yourself legally, right? Why in the world would you try to explain alternate street parking to a cranberry? You understand what I'm saying? Why would you try to hold court in your car with a police officer who doesn't know the law? Take the ticket and go fight it in court. It's simple. Take the ticket and
That's common protocol with Moors. That's common. He's not talking some sovereign citizen, or he's not talking some, you know, I'm a Moor, I'm letting you know how to deal with police when they stop you. That's not what that was. That's what Moors do anyways. Ticket fight in the court. What do you mean? And exactly for that same reason. You don't know who this knick-knack is that's pulling me over? You're debating with him. About what? Now again, if we say that we're Moorish Science Temple of America and Noble Drew Ali said this is a nationality and identification card, then what are you talking about licenses? And again, like he brought up, in that context, as if when you're learning to drive and you get to the point where they say, fine, go get the test. You didn't have a license, you had a permit. You were still behind the thing. You were still operating the whatever. So what's the difference with the license and the permit? What's the difference? Oh, because they have it graduated where you have different ones that you get. The more expert you get in the whatever, the closer you get to getting, and then you have to do the test and what. All right, that might be the case.
But all of that is fraud. And again, not that this should be something that they're even talking about. Because if he's saying that this is his platform, and his platform is full of Negroes, blacks, coloreds, who don't have a nationality, you shouldn't be talking national affairs with them. Because that's going to get them in a worse situation than if they would have just stayed in their dead status. Which is what he's now trying to explain without explaining that you're in a dead status. That's why you comply. Because like we said, Moors who are active and stand up for the law, there's no non-intelligent tone when you're dealing with anybody. That's going to be talking however to whoever. So it's a fraud for them to even go there about compliance. Because again, the implication is that Moors who are active are not compliant. No, Moors who are active are the most compliant. Because we're presenting the law. We're presenting the obligations of these people who, like he said, are law enforcement. Their obligation, not ours, their obligation. Islam more. I don't know if you have anything to add or not.
I yield for right now, Grand Sheik. Islam.
Islam.
Go fight it in court, you know, instead of trying to get YouTube fame talking about I defy the policy enforcer. Right. I'm soft. This stuff works. No, it's not worth your life, and it's definitely not worth the life and health and welfare of your children.
Indeed. Somebody on YouTube said, "Do you know about the book called The Myth of the Birth of a Hero by Otto Rank?"
I'm not familiar.
Okay, he's not familiar with that. Let me see if anybody else had a quick question. Oh man, I just missed it. Somebody said, "I would like to know something" on Facebook. Say it again. My thing is froze, so I can't see the comments coming down from StreamYard anymore, y'all. So if
now again, going backtracking to the individuals who are making claims within the Moorish movement with regard to who is the true successor of Noble Drew Ali and all this. Right, this is from 1930. Islam. Brother C. Kurtman Bey, this is to notify you that the above named organization, Moorish Science Temple of America, in convention September 15th to the 20th, rescinded by voting out the mistake made by the second annual convention of 1929. And in doing so, you hold your membership role as when our prophet was here. And we hope you will still cooperate with the organization under the 5 principles. We hope further that you will comply with this notice and govern yourself accordingly. There is but one supreme grand advisor in the Moorish Science Temple of America, that being Noble Drew Ali. And anyone else attempting to be, from now on, is assuming authority of himself and is liable to the penalties of the law. Peace. Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, Emily L. chairman. So these people are with the people who, around Noble Drew Ali's time, took the fame and nobility, started making, titles for themselves,
putting themselves in a position of what Noble Drew Ali was and claiming to have some authority that they would have gotten from him. When there's documentation, there's court records of these Moors taking Moor Science Temple of America people, their own, to court in order to have outside people looking at it like, oh my gosh, look at the Moors, they're infighting. There's not infighting. Those people have nothing to do with the Moorish movement if they're not going with what Noble Drew Ali laid down. If they're trying to tell you be passive, not active, then those are not Moors that are with Noble Drew Ali. They have the sign and all that. Great. But they're not in line with Noble Drew Ali. Why? Because we can go to the letters and all these people's names are in there as being dirty people. Right? Emily Ill letter. Islam, my dear brother, I am agreeably surprised as well as glad to hear from you at this time. I have often wondered what happened to you. Now, speaking of Dove L, you didn't give much understanding as to what this party was doing or where he was operating or who gave him his authority if he acts on the lines of Islam. So find out what this brother is teaching, his right to do so, and who did he receive it from. Now, the whole trouble is this. When I was on my way around to visit the Prophet's temple in 1929, Kurtman Bey was made Supreme Grand Advisor by a group of Moors secretly, and was kept secret unbeknown to me, what was now on, till we are ready to transact our regular business in the convention. Then they sprang this trick of making Kurtman Bey head of the organization, which is in direct violation of the Prophet's laws and the Holy Quran according to chapter 10, verse 22. We, as heads of the Prophet's temples, fell asleep at this point by being confused over the passing of our Prophet, which they knew would not be expecting any surprise. And that so they thought was the time for them to pull him over. But I had stated in the outset, in advance of any official work, that in view of the passing of the Prophet and the much confusion that was very rampant at that time, we wouldn't be able to do anything effective except choose a grand treasurer and a board of trustees, which the Prophet said himself we should have. Anything else I declared would be unofficial till the next regular meeting of the Supreme Grand Council. He, Kurtman Bey, was made advisor anyway, but I knew I had been given the power by the Prophet in the first article of the Constitution to change anything that went wrong. By the Holy Quran Constitution, which we did in the last convention, but he doesn't think so and decided against him, yet he is still acting against the will of the Holy Prophet, Drew Ali. But can you expect he thinks he has perfect right to do what he is doing? Because so many of the governors and grand sheiks fell after the passing of the Prophet, and most of them are with him now and against the Prophet. They are fighting me because I won't stand for Kurtman Bey to act as Supreme Grand Advisor of the organization. They are doing all they can against me on his account, virtually destroying, if possible, the movement through willful, malicious disobedience.
Look at that. The first letter you read, that was the one from the Prophet?
That was from Miliel as well.
But the Prophet was around? In the
No.
first letter?
No.
Okay.
The first letter was from 1930.
But it's still the fact that just because the letters to be read in every meeting,
Yeah.
you already know that the prophet already knew all this was going on. He told them they're working every scheme. And this guy was part of it, working every scheme to defame the prophet for what he was doing, what he bought, and everything. And like the Moor said, dirty Moors got together in secret and made this man the guy. And I'm glad you brought him up because, like you said, the dude who's doing the interview, who got interviewed, he's part of these Kirkman BEY paradigm or whatever of put the prophet to the side and follow Kirkman.
Yeah.
Just in that little bit of interview you showed, Grand Sheik, it was a lot of truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Because I still can't get over the fact how he dissed Moors and told us we was right at the same time. Like he basically, because he dissed, okay, because he's real good what he's doing.
Yeah.
Now he dissed the sovereign citizen concept, but then tells you to go to court and if you know the law, fight the ticket in court. But but to them, that's the sovereign citizen stuff.
Yeah.
If you took the ticket and went to go fight it in court, that would be the sovereign citizen stuff. You can't do that.
Yeah, because if you would have told you pay the ticket.
Right. Right.
You take the ticket, pay.
That's the
if you're gonna comply,
yep.
You take the ticket, pay the ticket. You're not fighting it in court. Why are you fighting it in court? Good point, Moore.
That's why I was like, yo, this guy is real slick, man, what he's doing. I'm like, wait a minute, but you just said all that sovereign citizen, blah, blah, blah. But if you just take the ticket and go fight it in court, but you're going to end up saying the same thing you would say to the highwayman, to the so-called judge. You got delegation of authority and all of that. You would say that to the same judge. Is this an Article 3 court? All of that. You will be saying that in your argument. But he's saying at the same time, that's that sovereign citizen BS. But when you go to court, use it. Like, that's what you basically just said. Like, come on, man. Come on. I don't even know. Like, that's incredible to me how I'm like, man, you're slick. You're real slick.
He's really a master, for real.
And then this guy's going to tell him, well, after he disses the side, well, how are we supposed to do it? You didn't just hear him say the Moors were just smarter than the highwaymen in the judges. Like acknowledge that. Why didn't Ben X acknowledge that? Like, how he didn't acknowledge that? How was that not talked about? Because they make it seem like that's wrong. Like, well, since we know that that's not the right way to do it, what should we do? But he just told you they knew more than the highwaymen and the judges. Like, so it's not wrong. It's not wrong. And like he's saying, now to me, it's up to the Moor. You know what I mean? It's whatever you want to do. Like, if you in a situation where you think, you're not going to put nobody in danger or nothing like that, it's your right. You have that right to ask that highwayman who he is and all of that. So it's not an issue to do that. And he's telling you it was right. You can be doing it, but at the same time telling you that's that sovereign citizen BS. Like, how can he be doing that? He just told you it's right. We just know more than the highwayman and the judge. But that's that sovereign citizen, blah, 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 blah. How? You just agreed that sovereign citizen crap that you keep saying is sovereign citizen It's just basically information that you know more than the highwayman and the judge. That's all. That's what he basically said. By when he said, we just realized we knew more than the judge and the highwayman, you just agreed that that sovereign citizen stuff is right. Because it's not wrong. It just means what? You know more than the judge and the highwayman. It's not sovereign citizen, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's why I said he's real slick what he's doing. Very slick what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because then they're gonna tell you, well, for your children and for your own life's sakes, you shouldn't. You should just take the ticket. And which I agree. I agree with that too. I agree with that too. But if there's a Moor out there who's like, nah, man, these people are foreign criminals, like, and that's how they treating it. Hey, do your thing. Do your thing. But you're
not gonna tell them. You're not gonna tell them anything, anyways, because they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Right. The guy told me.
They yield and give the license, I mean, or whether they stand under a square. Right. But the bottom line is highwayman should have been stopping them in the first place.
In the first place.
Forget you got as far as you got a ticket. Not supposed to get as far as you got a ticket. What are you talking about tickets? He's not supposed to stop you. Because from a visual, he would have seen, oh, that's a Moor, leave them alone. And that's that. But see, that's the part of it that these Moors are missing. Because it was probably some thrill seeking whatever. Once the thrill's gone, you know, no more interest.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever thrill they were getting, they stopped getting that. And because they stopped getting that, just because they stopped getting that, they went the other way. Because they couldn't deal with, you know, whatever it was that happened, whether somebody got kidnapped, whether whatever, that deterred them, that made them say, you know what, we can't be doing this anymore, or whatever like that. Like, that's not how active Moors talk. Active Moors will look at the situation, analyze it, and, you know what I mean, they'll continue to grow from the situation. Not gonna turn in. You're not gonna give it.
Nope.
Like, you're not gonna give it up. Right. Don't forget, MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, 9:30 p.m. Call the number 319-527-6751. 319-527-6751 and 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. blogtalkradio.com/MHHS-Eyes Wide Open. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love to all.
Islam. Islam, Grand Sheik.
You got anything to close out before we close out?
Yeah, Islam to the Moors in the chat. Give thanks to the Grand Sheik and his platform. All the Moors in Canaanland. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. And all praises to Allah. And Islam to all the mothers too. Islam.
Islam. Peace and love to all. Peace and love to all Moors, wherever they're at. wherever you're at, whenever you see this. Islam to the mothers and Islam to all. Trying to get you something to take you off. We could do this one.
Human existence became a struggle for uncontaminated water and food. Only the strongest survived. And in this age of chaos, men were fearful, and power over other men made them feel less afraid. The flame of life on earth was sputtering, and if extinguished, would never be rekindled. But there were those whose concern was not for themselves, but for their world and its inhabitants.
I believe that your separation from Julia must be linked to the ultimate fulfillment of your destiny. Fate's plan, in which we must all play a part. I have a hunch that your role is an important one. I wouldn't be surprised if the world needs you even more than you need Julia.
I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alright. You don't feel fine. I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alive. You don't feel alive. You caught up in this notion that you can save the world. Anxiety and emotion, cause if you do, you get the girl. Lost in the ocean like an oyster loses pearl. In the trance from this ocean downward spiral, watch you swirl. Took a chance for the open dimensional travel, made you earl. You started to unravel you like the wind when it whirls. Better strap into your saddle, if you in the path, you're getting hurled. And it's a constant battle, but your magician call him Merle. Not likely to get rattled, ballerina when she twirls. After focus and precision, it's like a pattern world, perfectly precision like that King 9 girl. Rather die than fail his mission, even though he knows the world hates him and no one listens. Ultimatums, dilemmas, and decisions. Captured light, now released from this prism. He freedom fights, he does it for the girl. I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alright. You don't feel fine. I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alive. You don't feel right. But please, don't wake up his dark side. Just seize and think on the smart side. He does this with keys, has it locked in the archives. But the seas hasn't blocked like apartheid. Still he moved mountains, he like Moses, he parts tides. One of the chosen, a distant land. Far side, he can hear the far cries. So he put the burden on himself to fight for the lost lives. All about nation, never hear him talk tribes. Walks with the ancients, vision like a hawk's eye. He was reincarnated, his life, it was prophesied. Say the God's made him, but he entered through his mom's thighs. Firm foundation, never really cave rides. Destiny, manifestation, he knows the stakes high. Swings a sword of justice, and no, it don't take sides. Secrets he's entrusted with, words that weren't transcribed. Put on a pedestal, life deified, a warrior, demigod, spirit of a samurai. Aura so strong, still you could say hi. You can hear them sing songs, tales of when he passed by. Knows the battle goes on, never does he ask why. Road ahead is so long, some say it's suicide. Knows he gotta hold on, no cyanide. I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alright. You don't feel fine. I know sometimes when the sun shines, you don't feel alive. You don't feel right.
Citizens of all free governments claim a constitution in their free national name. Those who fail to recognize this national name, a class that's undesirable, subject to names inferior and abusive with mistreatments. Citizens care to bestow on them in sequence. You sin when you violate the Constitution, clinging to names of slavery like Winfrey and Houston. That's why prophet was sent for us to repent and go back to the ways of minds back in the days, using the religion from the mental prison. Connect back to the Moorish movement was the mission. It's still the mission, but some are dissing. Rights for granted, privileges, the current position. If you think his principles are not for redemption, go to the government officials and mention. In a tone intelligent, they would render replies to test the sight in darkness, not with the both eyes. The wealth of all nations is gold and silver. Standards make the man, not the money they give you. Commerce without citizenship by name means you have no true wealth, is what I'm saying. Enforce the Constitution, help with the mission to get back to the constitutional full position. Divine wanted by the prophets for nations. Nations is plural because everyone needs saving. Divine wanted by the prophets for nations. Nations is plural because everyone needs saving. Divine wanted by the prophets for nations. Nations is plural because everyone needs saving. Divine wanted by the prophets for nations. Nations is plural because everyone needs saving. Iron sheep standing in front of Zion gates. Heaven's Gate guardsmen. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the one open henchman I squadron. Mudra's on stage to the crowd, I'm a marksman. Crosshair, your pioneer, my dress shoes are Clarks, man. No square for shoes, rappers dressed like cowboys, in tight jeans like Aerosmith. My time's now, boy. Y'all been on the mic, some of y'all fell off the stages. You got the ancient vexed, so they got me on your cases. Got me on the humble, but if you get it twisted, who will make you crash your car and blast you with spirits? No fear, none ritualistics make rapping dummies. Limber, then some wet biscuits. Rise you like this quick, your bank account doubles. For talking arms out and making you get in trouble. You don't have to believe it, I call it as I see it, call me Simon. The more carrying the cross for pale Jesus. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the one open henchman I squadron. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the one open henchman I squadron. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the IHF and UCMB squadron. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the one open. Yo, handshake dead, man, we all grown up. Lousy doing the art, Seb won the Grey Cup. Demolition man, a married man, call it royalty. Vending at my lectures, showing their loyalty. Agents try to flop it and bump into Orishas. Give you their nightmares like deep sea creatures. Give you bad karma, cancel karmic credit. If I put your name on it, you wish I never said it. You wish I just did it. You plotted and you schemed. I saw you visualizing the golden beam. Look through the stargate, a glimpse of the future. Made me see a judgment and tell the thugs not to shoot you. Medallions on string, thinking I'm a cheapskate. Fake rocks get locked, cut off like Buddhist beefcake. Fake Nuwapian get slapped with Dark Circle 7 and branded with Noble True Ali as a lesson. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman, repping for the one open henchman I squadron. Zion Gate opener, Heaven's Gate guardsman.